So what I was telling to try, there's one more method known as assign in objects that is quite important too. So I'll be showing an example of how to use it. Okay. I'll some name a one comma b two. Okay, and then c something. Let's say I'll take it three. Okay, then I'll provide a constant src. Yes, I'm typing this code. I could even copy paste it, but I'm typing it so that even you guys can follow all along. So if you have a laptop or something that you have access to, I would appreciate it if you guys are trying with me. Okay, just try to code with me too. Okay, so you guys are even getting an idea of what's going on. Than just simply sitting and please mute yourself. Target. I'll just log this so you guys can see what's going on. Okay, here you saw what happened was I think someone else joined me. Was there any confusion? Like you guys are joining late to the meet. Like I got a call. Do you guys get you guys got confused between because there was two links sent to you. Okay, I think same thing is happening. Whoever joined the meet right now, can you just put me a drop text in the Dropbox? Did you guys not get a mail regarding this or what happened? Whoever joined late, just so that I could know what happened. Sir, can we not give person dot key? Okay, like I don't know what instance you were asking. Students who yes, they went to the 20th one. Okay, so okay. Sorry, like you should have read the date. I think the invitation was clear. Maybe next time onwards we'll try to make it more clear. Monday onwards you'll be you have to check your mail. We'll be sending the links and everything will be available on the application itself. You could view. There's a session like right now. We got a um, the live sessions that you guys have. It's not it's not completed yet. So from Monday onwards you don't have to check your mails. If you visit the platform, whichever the meet has been assigned to you, you'll be able to view that if there's any live sessions or upcoming sessions, so you don't have to go back to your mailing and check that. Okay, so Monday onwards I think it will be a little bit clear to you guys which meet link to join and all those stuff. And coming back to the coding part, sorry for the confusion guys. Okay, next from Monday onwards it will be much easier for you guys and you wouldn't have a confusion. Okay, as we are speaking over here, there's another method that we used was object.assign. Okay, what is doing over here is we are taking whatever is in the it's quite clear whatever is in the target, the source is getting appended. Okay, so here you can see as soon as I print it, let me put it in a table so you guys can view it a little bit better. Okay, then I'm going to put a table over here too, log. Okay, then I'm going to do target, and I'm going to do source. I'm just gonna print this so you guys can see over here. In the first place, the target, it has ABC values. Then we had, then in the source we had. Okay, then as soon as I did that, so what has happening over here? We're trying to concatenate. So this is one of the ways that you could whenever you do object.assign. So whatever happens is wherever the source is, the target will go and sit in it. So that's what is happening over here. Okay, that's a lot of you guys. Just so, like, when you get a mail, just make sure that you're reading what's happening with it. I think most of you guys didn't understand. You probably joined the another meet and you coming back now, but it's fine. For the people who came right now, so I'll just give you an overview of what we completed, because you guys, due to the milk link differentiation, you got confused. So we just right now we have known how to create an object, and we have discussed of how to assign, any properties that you want to add. So this is an object. So these are called properties, and properties have values. Okay, and if you want to assign a value, or if you want to assign a property, or if you want to delete a property, or there are some methods that we came across. And just in the, when we have last 10 minutes or 5 minutes, I'll just the methods that we discussed for people who are joined late due to the link confusion. So I'll go those methods. You guys get a recap. Okay, there's a lot of people joining. So you're not confused. Okay, so I'll just continue the class right now. Then maybe in the end, if I find some time, probably like 10 or 15 minutes, I'll just recap the topics that I covered. Okay, so here we saw that, right now we are discussing that there's a object that we created with target, then there was a source, then with the help of object.assign, we have moved the the data that was in the source, D and E, and then we got there's a data in target, that's A, B, and C. We have been moved that to over there. Okay, then that's what we did over here. Okay, then moving on, we have the next part of the code where next part of the code we'll be going over some other methods such as freeze. So what does freeze do is, it will lock an object. So after you use the freeze method, you can't add any new properties. So I'll just comment this right now. Okay, then you will use the same person method, person object, my bad, not method. Okay, function. And right now I'll just freeze this object, so no method can be added over here. So as you can see over here, so what does freeze do? So here we saw, prevents the modification of existing property via attributes and values, and prevents the addition of new properties. Okay, so if I want to, let's say, now person dot name. Okay, let me just create, like as we saw in the earlier cases, I'll create one more attribute known as address. Then I'll provide just some, some randoms, let's say door number 01 or something. And as soon as we do that and we try to access that, or just try to log that, it won't provide me. So yeah, you guys can see over here, it will, I can see I can't do that anymore. Okay, so it doesn't allow me to add new any of the addresses. Okay, so that's why we use freeze. So when we don't want to add any more properties. Okay, so there's one more name, one more property, that is seal. Here when you use a seal, it prevents, even, it won't, but it will allow, but with the freeze you can't even change the values. Like, let's say I do freeze, okay, and I try to change person dot name into something like previous name basically. Okay, okay, so you guys can see over here, let me clear this, and I'll print it one more time with the table. Okay, so where did my terminal go here? And I try to print this. Okay, okay. So as soon as you can see, I name change the name over here. I changed the person name to Sky, but it didn't allow me to do it. So this is what happens in freeze. You can't even add new attributes. Neither can you. Like as soon as if I try to log it over here, you can see that if I log it over here, the name has been changed. But as soon as I do after the freeze, it won't allow me to change the name. You can see over here, it will keep the old name, and whatever the changes that you make, but after applying the object or freeze, you can't do anything with it. Okay, you can't even add new properties. If I want, say I want to add address or something, let's say for now I'll just keep a shortcut, short name. So you can see it won't even allow me to add the address, neither will it allow me to change the values. But as soon as I do with the seal, it remains the same. I can't add any, like, new methods. But if I want to access something and I want to modify something, it will allow me to do that. I can, like, that's the difference between seal and freeze. Okay, so it is, these are, like, few of the common methods that you'd be using in an object. And whenever they ask you for the built-in methods of object, you're supposed to know this. Okay. uh, and there's some pretty cool methods that are existing in JavaScript. Like, if you want, like, let's say you want to iterate through an object, okay, and I want to iterate only through the keys of the object, so I could do that using a for loop. We'll go in deeper about how for loops and everything works, and it is quite similar to Python as you guys learn it, but it's a little bit cooler with JavaScript. I'll show you how, as we go through the thing. A key. I'll just try to print it. One of you guys have your mic unmuted, so make sure you mute it. Who is it? Ananya, please mute your mic. Okay, you guys can see over here. It's quite easy. Like, I just gave it a word, like, saying I'm accessing the keys. So I'm getting the keys. So you can see that name. Okay, then I'm trying to. As soon as I do that, whenever I use the in keyword, it'll do that. Like, I could use other keywords such as off. That won't be okay. Let's say for in. Okay. Uh, this for off. So using that, we could print the keys of the person. Okay, then let's say you wanna, even get the entries. So with the use of object dot entries, you could, let's the same way that you use it with this thing, for get item in Python. Constant key, comma, value of object dot entries. I'm gonna take the person log dollar. So, guys, we have discussed how to put an output, and this is what I was talking about, formatting when your output. So, when you do that, you'll be providing the values that you want to provide. This is called embedding. So, I'm just trying to put the embed over here. So, you guys can see over here, and as soon as you saw, the key value pairs will be there with the entries, and I could output in this manner. Okay, this is regarding objects. Okay, these are the methods that are regarding objects. Do you guys have any queries regarding objects? Can we move on to the next topic? For the students who joined late, I'll be going over the topic a little after that. Like, maybe in the last 10 or 15 minutes, I'll go over that. But for students who are here, do you guys have any questions with objects? Shall I move on to the next topic? Okay. So the next topic that we're moving on is referencing to how exactly, like, whenever you do the let const var, and you try to declare any kind of objects, how will it run, and how it is, like, runs in the background, and how the Google V8 engine will process it and everything like that. Now, for today, we'll be going a little bit deeper over it, and I want you guys to hang on, because it won't be more of coding. It will be a little bit of theory kind of thing, but I'll make it. I'll show you how it works and everything. So you need to hang on. I know it's a Saturday, like, evening, and the weather is also fruitful for people who are sleepy. But try to hang on. Okay. Uh, okay. It is very cold, and for any people who are sleepy and, like, who likes to sleep, this is a perfect weather. But try to hang on with me. Okay. So earlier, in sometime in my class, I made a mistake of, assigning, getting the linking a script tag. So with the script tag, you would do it with, if you want to link any JS code to your index.html, you would be using that with the script tag, and you'll provide the source for it wherever the object is present. Okay, and I'll be using the live server. I think it is already open with live server. Okay. 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 Yeah. So it is working properly. Okay, now just so that to understand the better, like to get the view. This is not a best practice. Only for explanation purpose, I'm going to putting the script tag in the head tag. So, okay, it's not a best practice. I don't advise you guys to do it either. I'm just giving you an example. Um, business titles. Okay. Okay, so this is how the right now I'll just go over like you guys know the flow however this goes. So here as soon as the line by code gets rendered and it will be going to the script tag and it will be rendering that, and here we have an ID and I have written like I could write with using document.get element by ID we could write that, and right now we'll be going over for example let's take for now I'll just create three variables. Let's say person is just let's say uh, something total. Okay, I'll just take that, and we'll take like um, what can we take age. Let me not use name. Okay, let's take person first, last name, and I'll be giving it probably bean. And guys, you for with regarding strings, you can also use single quotes or double quote, whichever you want, and you could do that. And constant age, let's take something like 16. Okay, so I have declared these three, and as you guys can like we have explored in the last classes that if I try to access this, like whenever I try to log this, what happens is when I try to before initialization, if I try to access these things, and we could see that it will it will be undefined. Okay, right now I'll be just for your understanding purpose I'll be moving on over here, then I'll go to inspect. It's showing over here. So, so this is my HTML code, and I'll go to console, and we could see that don't mind this because I'm using an extension known as live server, and somehow they have these two things that is connecting and connected. So ignore that. Right now we'll be just like wherever the console log over here, we saw that it was undefined over there, and similar to that, it is undefined over here too. Okay, then I'll move on to the sources. Here you can see my script and my index.js, and I have not written this code 5server.js. It is a code that is written by the extensions, so don't worry about that. Just let's just concentrate on the code that I have written. Okay, so what happens is whenever we declare any kind of like last time I was using MS Paint and I found this new tool. That was pretty cool. Okay, so whenever we try to, let's say, there's right now there's three things, right? So we have var. Okay, let me I'll just increase the font maybe a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna increase this too. I'll make it var. It was name, and we gave it Chota. Okay. So right now I'll have the name. So let's take this box was one for name, and I'm going to copy paste it. Then I'm gonna copy paste it. And we have one more that was what was the other property that we used? So we have person, then we have person last name, then we have age. Okay, we have person, then we have person last name, then after that there's one more. We have person's age. Okay, so let's take in the first place. So we'll be going the first phase. So first phase is what happens is first phase would be regarding memory creation phase. So as soon as we given the three keywords over here, right? We gave person per last name. Like I'll just come back here so it is easy for me. So we gave three. We declared three variables. Okay, so one was person, one was person last name, the other one was age. So in the background, so how it would be running in the background is we would give these three, and these three's memory would be created. So how will their memory be created is they'll have the variable name, and like they did the data type that would be assigned for that. Okay. So the data type assigned for this for right now before let's take it's going through the memory creation phase. Okay, and it has not yet come to the fine. Okay. Even this the type. Let me just make it more clear. So this is the variable name. Okay, and this is the data type. Okay, so this is the variable name, and this goes for everything. So let me just copy this. So everything, whenever it's created in the first phase, it was person last last name age. Okay. So whenever we first create it, what happens is in the background. So whenever the JavaScript code runs, it will be just having all of these name. It will create a space for it, and it will give it will have a memory reserved for that. And like you guys have even heard about like this thing, right? Constructors and garbage collectors. Have you guys heard about that topics in Python? Garbage collector and constructors. Yeah. So can you guys give me a brief of what it is? Just like according to your understanding, what is garbage collector and what is a constructor? Since you guys have heard it and have an idea of it, what does a constructor do? What does a garbage collector do? You guys have heard it, right? What does it do? Give me an okay. Garbage collector is used to free the memory. Okay, and constructors are used for that is a function which is called when creating an object. Yeah, perfect. Varun and Dhanuka. So what happens in in the background? What happens is whenever we create an object or whenever we create question is ID used for initialization. Yeah. So whenever you use a constructor, what happens or any type of variable that you declare, what happens is there will be a memory address created for that, and the reference point of wherever the memory address will be, it will be given to the variable name that you declared. Whatever we call it as identifiers, they will be holding the memory address of it. So as soon as I pull out this reference, so let's say there's a memory address that is not a reference to any identifiers, then it will be regarded as a garbage. So what happens is this garbage collector, if there's any memory addresses that is not reference to any identifiers or variables, so it will just take it away. So that's what will the garbage collector do in the background. So moving back to the memory creation phase, what happens over here is you could see that the person is given, person last name is given, and the age is given. So as these three are given, as soon as you create this, what happens is they will be assigned the data type of undefined. So as you guys even know that you should also know that JavaScript is dynamically it's written. So what does it mean by dynamically written is the values whichever you provide, it won't have a data type, and it will have the data type depending on whatever the data type you give. So let's say in the first, just so you guys could understand the data type and how it works, I'll use a let. Okay, let's say some identifier. Okay, and I give it some value 10 right now. And we also in the previous classes we also know how to get an value of okay. So I'll just run this for now. Okay, so you can see over here, let me, it's referring to the undefined is referring to something over there. Okay, you can see over here some identifier was given a attribute number, and if I, let's say, I somewhere along the way I changed it to have a value of something else, 132 4 something like that. And again, okay, uh, copy, and I come back here, then I cover a simple space and I'm done. Okay, here you can see the value has been changed to object, and let me change this one more time. So maybe I'll make it a string. Let's say hello. Okay, you can see it has been changed string. So what I'm trying to say over here is JavaScript, as soon as you create any type of identifier or variables, it won't have a data type that is assigned. First, initially, it will be having a data type undefined, and we also know undefined does not come under any data. It is a different. It's a own data type of its own, like nan and some nan, like not a number. So undefined is its own data type that comes under primitive data types, and we have explored that. It comes under umbrella of a primitive data type. And so, as since JavaScript is a dynamically typed language, so in the first place it will be having undefined. Undefined would be the data type that will be provided. Okay, so let's say that, like, some as along the way. So what happens is we are assigning the value. So here we, for person, we are saying it's a chota beam, and the last name was Beam, and the age was 16, right? So, okay, I think so. Okay, and as we saw here, it was assigned something a value, and as soon as I try to access it, after that I can't do the same thing with the let and constant, because you guys know it will raise an error for me, since it will say it can't be accessed before initialization. So right now here you could see that it from undefined it went to the values that we are holding. So what happens is, in the first phase it will just create a memory for that. It will create a memory with undefined, and as we execute the code, it will change. So what happens over here is, so during the I'll just make it more clear over here. So I'll just put it up here. So this is during memory creation phase. Okay, this is during memory creation phase, and now we'll move on to the next phase. Once we are done executing the code, so I don't want to move it, I want to copy paste it. Okay. So we'll have a next phase that is right. So this is the second phase is code execution phase. Okay. Alphabet import. Code execution phase. Okay, so when we move on to the code execution phase over here, let me see if we can copy paste it. Copy. Okay, I don't know how to copy paste this, but right now I'll just create another one and with the background white and text being black. Okay, so I'll move this over here. Okay, so right now, because the person it had a string, so I'll just make it a string. So their type would be string, and you guys know the rest would be also the same. So here the person last name would be having person string, and it would be having undefined over here. The age would turn into a number. So in the code execution phase, this is what happens. Okay, so whenever we in the initial stages, it won't be having any data type, and will be just created, and the reference will be taking place, and it will be running. Okay, so now we'll go into the code over here, and I'll try to, I'll show you some of this stuff. So have you guys heard about breakpoints in Python? Breakpoints, debugger, anything like that? Okay. If you guys have heard it, You guys never came across breakpoints or debuggers? If you have, then can you put a definition of what why do we use a breakpoint? What is a debugger? So why do we use this breakpoint? It will stop at that point. Yeah, that is as a simplest definition one could provide. So anyone of you else, anyone want to answer that question? So what is a breakpoint? Used to see the memory. Yeah, there's many purposes for a breakpoint and a debugger, and of course to see the memory, it is one of the it's one of the reason. But breakpoint is not only used for that. There's other purposes, but that is also one of the purposes. Anyone else want to answer that? Why do we use a breakpoint? What are the other purposes? Guys, if you engage and if you have the conversations, I know it's a Saturday night and you guys are a little bit sleepy, but if you even if you answer, it would be really okay. Termination purpose, yeah, it could be used for that too. If you want to terminate some code, yes. Okay, so coming back, I think few of you only know that. So I'll move back to the same thing. Okay, so breakpoints are added to explore. Let's say I wanna only have an output at certain point, and I wanna know this, and at this time I'll be providing this. I can provide this. Okay, and we could see wherever I provide the breakpoint, it will give me that. So let me take this one. Okay, it'll going back. So as you can see over here, and if I remove this breakpoint and I try to refresh the page, and I go here. So whenever we go to sources, we have in your when you go to inspect. So I'll show you how to get there. So you can go to inspect and we'll open this tab for you where you'll be having everything like event listeners, and you'll have layout, computed styles, and all those stuff. And in that you'll be having a file known as sources. Right now, just exit over this. Open file. So select folder. Let's see. I'll come back over here. So open this with live. So guys, these are the tools that you're supposed to be aware of. I'll just show you what I did. So you guys, even you can replicate this in your system. So whenever you have this, I think you guys have downloaded the extension Live Server that I've asked you in the previous classes. Okay, so Live Server helps you to this. It will make your local system itself as a server, and you guys know what does a server is nothing but a it's a system again. It will be turn on 24/7 and it will respond to any HTTP methods or other methods that you provide, such as get, post, put, and that we have. I reviewed that in the first class. Okay, so if you wanna trigger the server, there's two ways. One is with the right click, and for me it will be over here with open with file server. And people who are using Windows, they would have the same thing, open with live server or something like that. Okay, then or you could do that, or you would go all the way down over here. You'd be having for me it is like this, and for depending on your systems this will change. All the way in the bottom you'll have different things like line number, wherever my cursor is, and all the stuff. Then we have spaces that is in the code. UTF-8 is because we have provided the coding over here, and Django template is because I am coding it. And so there's some other tools that you'd have it, and I asked you guys to even download the extension prettier. In that you'll be having one more, that is live server. So I have five server because I'm using upgraded extension of live server, because it is a little bit better for me. But you guys, if you have downloaded the live server, you would have open live server, and you will click there. And as soon as you click there, there's known as something called as port number. Okay, so it will be created with the local host 5500. And if you guys have did coding with any other languages such as Django, or let's take React, or any web application development things that I've used, you'd have a port numbers. Okay, so depending on your PC and depending on the programs that you're running, it will be different. for right now, for to run the HTML code, it has opened in the port number 55500, and usually if you have any backend codes, they'll be running in 8000. If you take Python or something like that, you'll in the future you'll be doing Flash, even it will be running at the same port. And if you are using React or any other Angular or any of those will be running in 3000 port number, and depending on your bundler it will change again. But these are the things that you're supposed to know for a web development application. So just be aware of this, and if you get some free time, try to explore this more, and see why it is like localhost 5500, and what does this do, what are port numbers, and what exactly is this HTTP localhost. Like in your free time, try to explore those things, because for a developer it is quite important. For a full stack developer it is important things, and simpler things too. So right over here I started the server, and it has been opened over here. And as soon as I click, either there's two ways that you could open inspect. One is through F12, you have function F12 in your keypad, or you could click on right click, then you'll have this, then you'll go to inspect, then you'll be provided with this. And I can, as I said over here, you'd be moving to sources. Okay, and in sources, it is showing in a different layout for me. But in the first place, you'll have like whatever the server, the pi server, ignore that. Right now I'm just reviewing the JavaScript code over here. So that is this one. And one more method that we explored in earlier classes was to copy the path, and we could just paste that. Here we're just trying to open an HTML document, and even in the same thing we could do the same thing, and we could, even over here we could open the sources, and it would perform the same way, whatever the console or whatever the elements they are, sources and stuff like that. And whenever you open the body tag over here or head tag, and I try to go to this file, okay, I can modify and all those stuff. And I'll just move back to this way. So here, okay, and I'm trying to print this. Let me print other stuff too. Last one, and I have page. So here I'm trying to print this, and this will be in the console. Okay, so as soon as I click over here, it will be lead back me the same page, and I could run over here and I pause it, and I could do all this. Okay, so as soon as I put a breakpoint over here, you could see where I'm putting the breakpoint and what is happening, and I could also resume or go over there. And this not only can be done with this, it can always also be done with other code, such as if I want to add a debugger over here. There's a word called debugger, and as soon as I put that, I don't even have to put this. Okay, so here you could see that debugger has paused. So here I've put a debugger over here, and you can see that my HTML code has been stopped. So you can see that I've put a sky, and I've been running my script.js, and over here you can see that it has been stopped, and there's no values that has been raised over here. And we can also see in the script that age and per last name has been created. And as I was telling you right earlier, so what was happening over here is, why is it giving value unavailable? Because I've put the debugger before and until now. And if we move on down, there's other things too, right guys? Over here you could see there's breakpoints, and there is a watch. You could provide all these things. Then there's scope. Okay, in the scope you have global and script, and there's something called as call stack. We'll be going over call stack and DOM breakpoints in the further classes, but right now I want you to guys to concentrate on just the script thing and the global. There's many other methods, just don't worry about it, about these things for now. I'm just want to show you where there'll be something called as person too that we have created. Somewhere around here we'll have the person friends event. Okay, so where we go, find person. But not here. Somewhere over here we'll have a person. I wanted to show you that thing. So where did it go? Only fine. So even over here we'll, okay, right now here, okay, it's over here, not at all. There'll be person name that I created, because since it is a global scope, person name would be over here. I'm not able to catch it right now. Let me change it. Maybe then I'll be able to. Let me make it a username then. Something to. So I'll change this. So here you would have the same thing, and it would be defined. Even there, it would be undefined. It would be having some value. I'll show you in the end of the class, but I'm not able to find it somewhere over here. Don't worry about that. I just wanted to show you that this will be there. Let me refresh this. Okay, and I'll put the debugger. Maybe I took out the debugger. Debugger. Close the code, refresh it. Okay, there's an error. That's fine. Okay, so somewhere over here it should have been there. I don't know where it is exactly. Okay, don't worry about all this. I just want to show you that thing. So right now we'll be getting back to the age. So what happens over here is, so as you can we discussed in the diagrams that first as soon as the in the memory creation phase it will be undefined and it won't have any kind of value that would be assigned. Okay, even over here we could see these are undefined. Right now we can't access it because it is let in constant and you can't access it before initialization. So as soon as I put the debugger over here, so what happens is the debugger has paused and you could see that it has been executed and it has been stopped execution at this phase exactly. And before this line, and even when I'm trying to print it, you guys you can see that it has been undefined, so there's no value for this. Uh, for this the first thing that we gave, and there won't be anything that is assigned to that. And when we come to the scripting of age and person last name, we could see the value is unavailable. Okay, and then I'll just move to the here you could move up or down based on the code and whichever line you want to go. I'll just move to one line a little bit more, and you can see over here. So I'll just go back again, 1 second. I'll just come back here. Okay. Okay. Just refresh the page and I'll show you once again. So over here, just observe whenever I'm at this position, I'm right now it has been executing the line 4, and we saw over here it is still executing line 4. It has not read the line 5 or 6 or any other lines. It has not even visited the line 5 and line 6. Only right now it is at still at line number 4 and it has not explored 5 and 6. It is still, and it has not come. So whatever the line we are going through, whatever the debugging phase that we could see over here, so right now it is at line 4. It has not even moved to any other lines. It is just still at this line and it has not moved to 5 or 6 yet. But still, even with, let me take away this breakpoint, and with the script we could see that there's already age in per person's last name. Even though code has been not executed yet. Because what happens is when we are going through, when we are checking this debugger and we are going through all this code is happening after the memory creation phase. So we are trying to debug in the code execution phase, not in the memory creation phase. Memory creation phase happens by the JavaScript itself, and it won't give you any authorization. So this is done by the JavaScript backend, behind the screen. This is running, and whenever we try to put the debugging tool and we try to debug anything, so what happens is we'll be move on to the code execution phase. Okay, and right now what happens, the person name will be also given, and when we try to console log it will be a string and it will give the output. So right now we'll just move one step ahead. So we'll just go one step further, and you can see over here it is now executing. It is now executing the line number 5, and as soon as it executes the line number 5, we could see the changes over here. We could see that from value under it moved to, we could see that as soon as the value is unavailable, it got to move to the next line and the value was assigned. And if I go one step further, we could see both of them values are assigned. So what is happening over here is the memory was already reserved. It will take the identifier and it will create a memory address and it will refer it to that, and that value will be already created and we'll have the undefined. Okay, so as I just wanted to show you how it works. And as per the diagram we also saw in the first few pages we didn't have that. So let me just replicate this. Mm, oh, I'm able to copy paste now. I think I figured it out. I didn't do something. Okay, I don't know how I did it. I can't do it. Okay, anyway. So this is person. Variable name was per last name. That means person's last name. Even it will have the same thing. And I'll create one more thing. I'll just drag it over here. Okay. It will be number. Control. Okay. Yeah, I'll repeat the topic. Control D duplicate. Okay. I have not tried that. Let me try it if it works. Control D. Oh, thank you. Okay. Oh, that's cool. Okay. I didn't know I could do that. Control D. Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay. So moving back, this is a new tool. I will just explain. So moving back, we saw that memory creation phase. What happens is, someone asked me to repeat it. Likit, would you mind telling me where you want to repeat? Like you want me to repeat the memory creation and the execution phase? What do you want me to repeat? Like just the diagram or the what are you trying to ask me to repeat? That ports part. Yeah, sure. So yeah, right now here the port that you asked is different. Whatever you mail me, it's not the same. So these ports are whenever you have application. Okay, so what happens is you already explored, right? So I'll show you an example over here. So in your network, there's one more thing. You'll have a network over here. In that you'll have index and script. Whatever the files you have, you'll have it over here, and you can see over here. Let me. I think because I put the debugger thing, my code won't be executed completely. So I'll just refresh this. Refresh it. So here there's other things. So Favicon, FWS, and index dot. Like right now we'll just concentrate on these two. That is index dot and script.js. Okay, here what happens is your computer, whatever the laptop or system, whatever you're using, it will act as a server itself, and it will hit a response. It will send a get response to your own server. So what you're trying to, as soon as you get to this, index.html, what happens is there'll be a get response going. Let me show you a little bit more. So here you could see there'll be a get response sent from your this thing, from the server wherever you're trying to hit the endpoints. From there you'll be sending a get response. Okay, get method, and whenever you try to get method, the index.html will be taken. Okay, and whenever you get this index.html, whatever the code you've written based on, right now I just have a body tag, and in that I have written sky. So right now that will be rendered, and you over here you could see that this whatever the code you try to run, it initiated by itself. Look, as soon as you got to that endpoint, so here you could see that index.html, it's the endpoint that you're trying to visit. These are called endpoints. So whatever you have after the slash, these are called endpoints. So whenever you try to hit that endpoint, what happens is you're trying to render that page. So once you render this page, what happens over here is you're trying to call a file. So index.html is calling one more file, that is script.js. Okay, whenever the, like you can see, the initiator for this was index.html. Okay, so as soon as you see that, it will be hitting that, and it will be even getting the script.js. So let's say I have one more file. So in the index.html I have one more file, that is style sheet. So I am going to take a, okay, let's say that's a link. Again, it is well style sheet. I don't want to type the whole thing. I'm just giving an example. um, style sheet, and I provide so, okay, let me just make it a little bit faster. Okay, so just provide, just create, so there's already styles made, right? So just make it styles, save this. Okay. Oh, here, let me just refresh this page. So here you could see that, like, now I have one more thing. I don't have JS yet, but I have linked to the styles.css. Okay, and even get that was, you can see over here, even that was initialized by the HTML. So whatever file you're trying to link and you're trying to explore, those files will be extracted by your server. Okay. Okay. So let me just get back to the same thing that we were discussing. Sky and script budget. Okay, so don't worry about these things. The percentage and all the stuff. We'll take care of that later. For now, let's just concentrate on index and HTML. So whenever we try to get this now, whenever we try to get the script.js, so what happens is we are trying to get the hit that server. So this acts as our server and it is providing the data that we are supposed to give. It is getting the data that we are supposed to give, and right now we are trying to access the script.js. Okay, as soon as I try to access the script.js, it is giving over here, and this will be acting as a port number. So what I'm trying to say with the port number part is, over here you can see that 5500. Okay, and even over here bottom down over here, even over here you could see it is 5500, and if you look at anywhere here, it will be initiated with 5500. So depending on the languages that you're using, let it be AngularJS or, like, Python for a reference to backend, like Flask or Django, those port number will differ. And as a programmer, you even have the provision to change the port number. So just so that, like, even in the future, you should know what port numbers your applications are running, because right now I just have one thing that is just the front end, that index.html. But when I have a back end application running and I have a front end application running, so if they're independent of each other, they'll be running in different port numbers. So you should know the concept of port numbers and how these run. And, like, as you've also seen that there was, even for the backend connection, when you try to link any backend, even they'll be running in another port number. So for example, if you guys have used XAMPP or what is the other one, I forgot. There's another, like, XAMPP, or there's one more. I can't remember the. XAMPP is a common server that is used for SQL. There's one more thing. I can't recall the name right now, but those things will be running in different port numbers. So port numbers are very important if you want to build any applications, and you have to know which port numbers you're running. Because if you have any application that are using the port numbers, then the application would crash and you wouldn't get the proper output. So it's important to observe this port number. So that's what I was talking about, port numbers. So moving back, so we saw that, and right now I'll be moving to the sources again. So here you could see that, like, my whole application has been loaded. So even over here we can see that refresh button is there, and, like, my icon, favicon, or whatever you want to call it, even it has been loaded and it is working properly, and everything is running properly. So let's say as soon as I put this debugger right now over here, I'll just enable this debugger. I commented it, so I'll just uncomment it. Okay. And guys, one more thing is, if you want to comment or uncomment anything, there's a shortcut key. If you guys know, control and backslash. The backslash is the slash that comes with the question mark. So if you click both of them, it will be commented. Okay. So right now I'll just refresh this. I think I saved the file. So just refresh it. You could see that, like, even the, okay, debugger should work. Elements, console, sources. Okay, that's weird. Okay, let me just stop this and reinitiate my server once again without the debugger. Uh, stop report. No, okay, screen. Let's go to JS. Okay, then I have inspector connect. I don't know why it's going back to script.js, my man. It's supposed to be at the next HTML. Okay, so here I'm trying to get this. Okay, then I'll just try to debug. Okay, then reference point debugger. Okay, I'll just put the debugger over here. So we'll try to refresh this page. So compliance. Okay, it's not linked. I think that's why it was not running. Yeah, I forgot to link it, hence it was not running properly. Okay, so here you guys could see that as soon as I link this page, right? As soon as I link the sources and I try to open it with the script.js, what has happening over here? You could see that it's not running, right? It's not running, and as you can see that it has been running, like it has been loading, and even over here it is not. So what happens is whenever we put this debugger, or whenever we put this dead debugger in there, the whole will code will pause and it will move to a dead zone. Okay, so it is called temporal dead zone, okay, in JS. Okay, so what happens is your code won't be running or executed the whole way, and it will be stopped. And wherever you code like that, this is one of the ways why we ask you, it's a best practice to put the script.js. Okay, I think that's what the mistake that I did over here. There's a typo, hence it was not loading. Okay, I'll put this over here. Okay. It should go. Okay. You can see that if I'll just refresh the page, I'll show you what I'll show you. Okay, just, close this. Okay, so here you could see even you could see that even this is not running. The output. So since I've been putting the script.js behind before the body tag even loads, you could see that even that is not running. So we try to keep the best practice. That's why it's recommended not to put the script.js in the head. So you could put it all the way in the bottom, because if there's something wrong with your script.js, your at least your page loads and you could see the alert. So if you put it in the all the way in the top, you could see it won't load anything. So right now there's nothing wrong with my JS code. I just put a debugger, hence it has paused the whole application, and it is in a terminology called as temporal dead zone in JavaScript. Okay, so it is paused over here. That's why you'll be at this phase where you'll be stopped over here, and your code will be just it will be right at this point, line number 3. And after, the code won't be executed and the whole application will be stopped. So let's say I move the script. Okay, I move the script code. Okay, move the script code so somewhere over here, and I stop it. And you could see if I try to refresh this page once again, you could see even my title won't be there. Like, it will take some time, just give it some time. So even that will disappear. Okay, even you can't even see the title, even that will go away. Let me just stop the server. Okay, just stop the server and start it once again. So you can see it will be just stuck over there. So even that won't be loading, and it will be in a dead zone. So this happens. That's why it's recommended not to have that in in the top. And one more thing that you'll be using, if you get in deeper into coding, is you'll be there's a keyword called as defer. Okay, I think that's the keyword. Okay, so you put that defer, so which will help you to render the code. Let me just refresh the code. So here you could see that, due to that, it will be blocked. And moving on, whenever we try to move on to the next lines, we could see that the scripting and the values getting assigned and all of this taking place. And in the global, I think I was not able to find it for some reason. But if whatever the global, like for example, since var is a global scope and we had declared the the name with the global scope, it will be having that. And I don't know why, but it should be somewhere over here. I was not able to find it. You guys try it out once, but you should be able to find it in the global scope. And those are other methods that are also in the global scope. And whenever you try to hover this, right? Whenever you try to hover this and if there's some value to it, it will be having that value. So here, if I see this, I don't have any values assigned to it. And so when I hover it, I can't see anything that is being printed over there. And it won't even show me anything that is going on over there, since I put a debugger over here. And it doesn't know the value it has been created. But as soon as I hover over here, it will be showing what are the values. Even though I put a debugger, it will show the value because I have been assigned over there. And whenever I do the hover this, because it will be running this line of code, you can see that. So, and right now even the code has been stopped, right? So even if I try to print something, like say the what was the person, okay, well, the name was what I'm thinking of. Okay, I'll just change this. Give me a second. Person. So I close this and refresh the page again. Okay, so whenever we give this name the person, so you can see over here, I'll just go here and log this person. Okay, and you can see not person, it's person. Okay, when I click enter, what happens is it will be undefined. And if I want to, even if I want to say that console dot, this is one more thing that, like, the advantage of this is it will give you everything of how it works and all this stuff. Log, and if I try to print the person over here, and I want to know the type of the person. Okay, alright. Log console log type of person. Okay, you can see it is undefined, and you also need to, observe the colors changing. So you can see that, with reference to the person, it will be undefined in a lighter color, and when it belongs to type of, it will be a higher color. So let's say that I'll remove this debugger. I won't have this anymore, and I'll try to refresh the code. Okay, over here you can see that, it has changed. I think I have even log. Okay, so because there was one more thing, hence it was not allowing me to do that. So let me just comment this code. Okay, I'm gonna log this. So I'll just say console log and person. Okay, so we could see that it is Chota Beam over here. Okay, so because another undefined came because I'm trying to log all the way in the top two over here. That is written in my code. So if I take that out and if I do the console dot log person, performance person, we could see it would be Chota Beam. Okay, so the same thing will happen, and it will provide the same, Chota Beam, and whatever the name you've given, based on it will be there. And if I want to explore more, and if I want to know the type of that, you could even see that it is a string. Okay, it will provide that value, and based on whatever the values that you've given, and this will be happening. Okay, so we saw that, as soon as we put the debug over here, even in the last time it was not loading. It stopped loading, and it didn't provide the output, and it came into the dead zone. So it is given a best practice that you don't put the script in all the way up here. Rather, you take the script tag and you put it in the body, or all the way in the end, somewhere all the way down in the end. So you will have the same problem, but at least your page would be rendered, and you could see what the error is taking place. So if there's any other errors, for example, you put a alert over there, or you put a log message over there, these might be, and you guys even heard about try catch block. And if you got some error, and when the exception comes up, you put some log statement something, it will be showing that, here we could see it has been paused due to debugger, because I put a debugger over there, and it has been paused. Okay, hence it is happening like that. And we could see, as we move forward, and we provide values to it, we could see the changes taking place. So it is very important that you are aware. One more topic that you should be aware of is call stack. We'll discuss that in the next upcoming classes. But it is very crucial that you know this. Right now I'll just take out the debugger so you guys know what's happening over here. Okay, just take this out and we'll just refresh the page. Okay, now it's everything's clean, good. You don't have to worry. So whenever you try to, few of the files over here with the sources, you could open it, and you could go through the call stack, and you could go through what are those called as, why do we need this thing, and why do we need DOM breakpoints, what are global event listeners, what are event listeners breakpoints. So just try to explore this, and even I'll try to cover this as much as I can. But one of the more main things that you would need is a call stack. Try to understand what that is in your free time. I'll go over that too. So scope is, as we saw, we it showed, whatever the let and constant we have discussed with the block scope that was given in script. And whenever we try to explore anything with the person global scope, and it will be in the global scope. Maybe next class I'll try to find it. I don't know where, somewhere down the whole list of other variables it is there, the person name, and it will be undefined in the first place. Then after that, once you assign something, it will be having some value. So whenever you come across JavaScript, it is very important that you know these two phases. One would be the memory creation phase, and the second would be code execution phase. and it will be moved from, like, whatever the data type or whatever the values you have assigned in the memory creation phase. It won't be there. It'll just, like, take look at your code, and will look for any things that you've declared, such as with var, let, constant, new, anything that has to create an object or create a variable. Look at that, like, in the memory creation phase, it will go through all that. Even if you have given some kind of function names, okay, even the function's name will be declared. So let's take an example that I have a function. Okay, I have a function named something, my function. Okay, and I have given it some parameters, and all it does is just log something. Okay, let's say it just logs something, and somewhere over here I will call it my function. My bad, my function, and I call it. We'll go through depth and how a function works and how all this, like, execute. Function is a whole different thing, and we'll go over that too, just so you guys know how it works in the background. Now here you can see the agent given, even the global, like, inside the global, the function will be also declared. Even somewhere over here, that function will be also declared, and it will be over here. And even the functions won't be, like, the function name will be taken, and those will be also created. And the same thing will happen with the function too. So just so that you guys know, so it will take that, and it will, in the memory creation phase, it will create those objects, and it will just give a undefined data type for it, and it will just store that. And as soon as we move on to the code execution phase, whatever the values that you have provided and whatever the data type it will be there, those will be assigned, and they will have a value to it. They'll be existing, and if you have taken out any references, and if you're not using that anymore, they'll be moved on, and their value will be taken off. So this is how it works. And like right now, I'll just, pause it, and I'll just, because it was paused due to debugger, right? So as soon as I click play, it got executed, and we could see all these values taking off, and, like, this is how it will work. And do you guys have any further questions regarding, the code execution? Okay, MongoDB. Yeah, MongoDB is also have a port number. I can't recall the port number right now, but even they will be having a port numbers. Um, so, do you guys have any questions, furthermore questions regarding this memory creation and code execution phase?